Hello everyone, JCE Connect. So I hope you all well at your places and also you all following our lectures. So today I'll be starting module number 4, design of tension members. So in previous lectures and all, so I have covered module number 2, that is bolted and welded connections. So please go through that bolted and welded connections. The contents are been given in your group. Please go through that and solve the assignment questions given there. So today, I will be starting module number 4, design of tension members. So the contents of this module are introduction, introduction, types of tension members, slenderness ratio, modes of failure of tension members, factors affecting the strength of tension members, then the design of tension members and lug angles, splices, gussets, design of column bases. In that column bases, again the design of simple slab base and gusseted base. So these are the contents. Sorry. These are the contents you will be studying in this module, that is introduction, types of tension members, slenderness ratio, modes of failure. So as per the VTU syllabus, these are the contents given. Next. So here, I'll be explaining what you mean by tension member or what is a tensile force. A member which is been subjecting to two pulling actions in opposite direction. A member which is been subjecting to two pulling actions. So this side a member is been subjecting to pull, and this side also a member is been subjecting to pull. So two pulling actions. These actions what we call as a tensile action or tensile force. Means a member carrying a tension is known as a tension member. It is also called as a tie member. Here it is given as a structural member which is subjected to tensile force along the axis of the member is called tension member or tie member in a steel structures. So here some of the examples or pictures shown here. A member which has been subjecting to two opposite tensile forces, making the member to elongate, and the member becomes thinner and thinner. Hence, it's a stress that tends to lengthen or stretch the member is called as a tensile member. And the design of such members are being called as a design of tension members. Even one more example, a group of people on either side, this side and this side, they are pulling the rope. There is a tug of war. In this case, a rope is being subjecting to a tensile force. Okay, it is under a tension. Next. So here I given a tension member is designed as a structural member subjected to a tensile, that is two pulling forces applied at its ends in a direction parallel to its longitudinal axis is called tension member. But a tension member is also called as a tie member or simply a tie. Here, a tension member is designed as a structural member subjected to a tensile force, that is two pulling forces applied at its ends in a direction parallel to its longitudinal axis is called tension member. It is simply called as a tie member. Clear? Next. So where generally we come across a tension members, a structural element subjected to axial tensile forces, we generally come across in case of trusses. The trusses may be providing in buildings or in industrial buildings or in bridges. So some of the members are been subjecting to tensile force, and those members are to be designed as a tension members. Even for a water tank staging, some of the members here here in this staging, some of the members, that is a bracing cross members, could be subjecting to tension members, though those members are to be designed as a tensile members. In one a truss members, some of the inner members have been subjecting to tension, hence they are been designing as a tensile members. Even cables in a suspension and cable stayed bridges. Even here bracings for a buildings or overhead tanks and bridges. So in these cases, generally we come across tension members, and those members are being designing as a tensile members. Even let us look at some of the applications here. Even in a building uh, roof truss, in this case a building a roof truss, here some of the members which are been subjecting to tensile forces, and those members are to be designed as a tension members. Even suspenders in a buildings, this is a suspender, so which is always under a tension, and these members are to be designed as a tension members. Even in a roof purlin system, this sag rod and a purlin are also under tension. Those two members are to be designing as a tension members. Even some of the bridges, that is a cable stayed bridges, these cables are under tension. Those cables are to be designed as a tension members. Even suspenders in a suspension bridges, the suspenders, the vertical members, they are suspenders, they are also under tension, they also be designed as a tension members. And in one buildings, some braced frames, that is like this, some braced frames, they are also be designing as a tension members, because these members will be basically under a tension and they will be carrying the tensile forces, hence those members are to be designed as a tension member. And in a system of structures, not only the tensile forces will be acting, not only the tensile force will be acting, but there are other forces, so like a compression forces will be there, torsion will be there, but which all members are being which all members are carrying the tension, those members are to be designed as a tension members. And which all members carrying the compressive forces, those members are to be designed as a compression members. Next. So what are the different types of tension members generally we come across in a structures? So based on the types of structures and method of end connections, tension members are used, may be broadly grouped into four groups. Basically these are the four groups where types of that tension members are been using. Here wires and cables are used as tension members, rods and bars are used as tension members, single structural shapes and plates are used as tension members, and built up members are also being used as a tension members. So these are the varieties of structures, varieties of sections which are being used as a tension members. Here I am showing wire ropes and cables. These, as I discussed, these wire ropes and cables, the wire ropes could be used in a cable stayed bridges or a suspension bridges, or in towers, where these wire ropes and cables are been using, and these wire ropes and cables are subjected to tensile forces, hence these are to be designed as a tension members. So here I shown a strand. Here it is mentioned here as this is a strand. A strand means an assembly of wires around a central core. This is called a strand. And assembly of strands is called as a wire ropes. And this type of wire rope as well as the strands are being used in case of a suspension bridges or a pre-stressed concreting or in mobile towers, where this type of structures will be used as a tension members. Next, and here rods and bar, this is a rod and bar, then these also been used as a tension members. This is one typical example of bridge truss, and in a bridge truss some of the members are been subjecting to tensile forces, and those members are also been designed as a tension members. And this is one typical joint where the members are coming and joining. This is what we call as a gusset plate. So for that gusset plate, some members are coming and joining here, and these members are been joining by using the bolts. These are the bolts, and this what it represents, the gusset plate, and these members are generally subjecting to tensile forces, and those members are been designing as a tension members. And some more types of tension members are, that is structural shapes and built up members. That is circular rods could be used as a tension members. Even a single angle sections, this is a single angle sections could be used as a tension members. Even wide T shape sections are also being used as a tension members. Even I section could be used as a tension members. Pipes are also being used as a tension members. Even double angles are also being used as a tension members. Double channel sections are also being used as a tension members. And sometimes built up sections. So here I mentioned a single angle used for the rope trusses. Double angles are also being used. T sections, that is this one is a T sections, that is used in welded trusses. Even channels, these are the channels, this one channels in bridges and large rope trusses. And W sections, bridges and large rope trusses built up on plates and rolled shapes to have a sufficient cross-sectional area and rigidity. So built up sections, when the built up sections will be using, that is built up section means two or more members. In this case, I'll show you. In this case, two or more members are used to form a built up sections. Built up members are needed when the single rolled steel section, this one single rolled this or this steel section cannot provide required area. That's why I mentioned here to have a sufficient cross-sectional area and a rigidity. When a single section do not provide a sufficient area, or where it is not able to carry the load, in that case the built-up sections are been using. The tension member, it is a tension member in a bridge trusses are made up of a channel or I sections to act as a built-up sections. Okay, so these are the some of the sections which are being using as a tension members. Next is the gross area and the net area. So what do you mean by gross area and a net area? These two terms are very important for solving a problems. There is a gross area and net area. This is a gross area and a net area. The gross area means total area of the main body of member. It is called as a gross area. Simply, it is defined as a member which is not been uh, subjecting to any of the holes, or if no holes are made in a tension member, sorry, if no holes are made in a tension member for its end connection, the cross sectional area is effective in resisting the tension. So if the member is not uh, made in the member, not it is not been made holes, then it is called as a gross area. That is total area of the main body of the member. That is called gross area. If the end connection is made with bolts, holes are made in the member, then the presence of a hole in a plate subjected to tension produces a stress concentration at the hole edge in the elastic range, but the stress distribution becomes uniform at yielding or at ultimate stress. Means a net sectional area. The net sectional area of a tension member is the gross sectional area of the member minus the sectional area of the maximum number of holes. Suppose this is the plate and this is another plate. Here these two are joining by providing bolts. At this particular section, how many holes are being made for connecting these two plates? So deducting that much portion, whatever the area is left, that area is called as a net area. The gross area means before making a holes, whatever the area is available for us, that is called gross area. That means total area of the main body of the member. The net sectional area means the net sectional area of the tension member is the cross sectional area of the member AZ minus the sectional area of the maximum number of holes made in a plate, that is called net sectional area. So here AN represents net sectional area of the plate, AZ represents the cross sectional area of the member, B represents the width of the plate, N represents the number of bolts, D represents the diameter of bolt hole, T represents thickness of plate. So AN can be calculating, suppose this is a plate, suppose if I want to calculate the area at here, that is a net area, that becomes a B, that is the width of the plate minus N represents the number of holes present. This is suppose 1 here, it is present 1 into diameter of hole multiplied with the thickness of plate, that gives you the net area. Okay. I hope you understood this. I explained in case in bolted connection and how to take the net area and gross area. Next, then the modes of failure. This is very, very important. The modes of failure. So the modes of failure, the tension member may fail by cross section yielding, then the net section yielding, or the block shear failure. Then if these three are to be overcome, then the member becomes safe. Then the failure due to yielding or the cross section yielding means a tension member can sustain a loads up to the ultimate load without a failure, then the elongation of the members at this load would be nearly 10 to 15% of the original length, and the structure supported by the member would become unserviceable. So cross section yielding means when the member, this is one member, this is another member, when it is been subjecting to two pulling actions, then these members get elongate, and as they start elongate, they started yielding, and that ultimate load, these members may get elongated up to 10 to 15%. This is what we call as a cross section yielding. Then the net section yielding or the rupture means a failure due to net section rupture. This occurs when the tension member is connected to the main or the other members by bolts. Then the holes are made in the members for a bolts will reduce the cross section, and hence the net area will govern the failure in this case. So holes in the members cause stress concentration at service loads. So that is what we call as a net section rupture. Then the block shear failure means the combined effect of shearing and tearing combined. So even in this parallel to the load, the section may get shear off, and perpendicular to the load, the section may get tear off. That is, it may get rupture. The combined effect of shearing and tearing is called as a block shear failure. If these three things are overcome in the design of steel members, then the steel member we call as it is a safe. Okay. Then the design strength of a member, that is a tensile member, is the least of strength due to yielding of cross section, a rupture of critical section, and a block shear. So if we want to design as a tension member, so we have to check the three things, that is strength due to cross section yielding, strength due to net section yielding, or the rupture, or the block shear. That is what we call as a TDZ, TDN, and TDP. That is strength due to cross section yielding, strength due to net section rupture, and the strength due to block shear. Because basically the tensile members may fail because of these three cases. That is a cross section yielding. Yielding means the member may become elongates more and more, then they become unserviceable at one particular point. Then the net section means when the member is having more number of holes at a particular section, then it start rupturing at that particular section because of the higher stress concentration. Then the block shear failure means the combined effect of shearing and rupture, what we call as a block shear failure. If these three to be calculated, that is TDZ, TD, and TDP, out of 3, whichever is the least, that governs the design strength. So this we'll discuss while solving a problem.